What's going on, dudes? We're going to be hitting up quadratic equations at this point. And to do that, I'm going to start you off on a little bit of linear functions. I know that you guys are thinking, wait, why are we talking about quadratic equations and linear functions at the same time? Well, linear functions is what we came off of doing, so let's talk about doing that stuff. Alright, let's move this thing over here and make this black over here. And then do this. No, I'm going to make it blue, and then let's do this. So our old school one that we talked about before was f of x equals mx plus b, or we used to say y equals mx plus b. Sorry, there we go. Y equals mx plus b, where the m in this case represented the slope, and the b in this case represented the intercept. Now, the slope and the intercept, these are called coefficients. They're both coefficients. They are straight up just numbers. Now, I know that m doesn't look like a number and b doesn't look like a number as well, but what I mean by that is m and b represent numbers, whereas x does not represent a number. It represents the variable that we are dealing with. And we also know that, if we were to graph this line, the m kind of governs the slope of that line. So if we have like a big M, it would actually have if we had a regular M, like, I don't know, average size M, it would probably look something like that, where this is the x coordinate and the y coordinate. But if we had a big M, we would have a more steeper slope, whereas if we had a small m, it would be a lighter slope, or a less shallow, or a more shallow slope. The b also, it governs actually where this thing lands. So if it's a big B, then this thing crosses the y-axis up here, whereas if it's a little b or even a negative b, the thing crosses way down here. So we're pretty familiar with this. This is what we've covered in the past. So I'm hoping that you guys have been able to hang with this thing. Alright, let's see. Assuming that y is a function of x, rewrite the following linear function as slope, line, intercept form, whatever. Alright. What they mean by that is the slope, line, intercept form is the y equals mx plus b deal that we've done before. So we want to get y all by itself. That's pretty straightforward to do. I'm going to take this 8x over to the other side by subtracting it. Now I have negative 16y equals 18 minus 8x. I'd actually rather write that as negative 8x plus 18. I'll tell you why in just a second. But before I do that, why don't I divide everything by 16? So I have y equals negative 18 over negative 16. Oops, no, oops, did that wrong. Sorry. Alright, it's positive 18 over negative 16. I'm sorry, I'm thinking ahead of what I'm talking about. Minus 8x over 16. If it's right with you, I'm going to switch those things around. I can do this because it's the commutative property, so I'm going to put the negative 8x over 16, which I can reduce down to 1/2 x. And then the second one is negative 18 over 16. Let's see, if I divide both the top and bottom, I'll get 9 over 8. I think that's about it. So this tells me that y equals negative 1/2 x minus 9 over 8. If I were to do the ugly version of the graph of that, that would be, it would cross right about here. If this is negative 1, this would be negative 9/8. And then my slope would be 1/2, so I would go up 1 across 2. So up 1 across 2, so 1, 2, something like this. Here's the very ugly picture of my graph right there. Let's do a couple of these right here. That's pretty straightforward. Let's go 2y equals negative 3x plus 18. Sorry, there we go. Alright. Y equals negative 3/2 x plus 9. Graph that. The intercept is 9. The slope is negative 3/2. One of the things I always ask you guys, and I feel like a lot of times people mess up, is this negative 3/2 that we talk about. That when I ask what is the slope, a lot of times people say negative 3/2 x, and that's not true. you don't include the x because the x is the variable part. Whereas when I ask you what is the slope, I'm asking you what is the number in front of the x term. If you look at the y equals mx plus b, you have the m come first. The m is the number that goes in front of the x. So you don't include the x when I ask you what is the slope. The b in this case is 9, and that's pretty straightforward. Another thing that people forget to do often is when they divide the 2 out here, they just do the 2 over here, but they forget to put it under both parts of the right hand side. Remember, you're dividing everything on the right hand side by 2. Alright, let me do another one of these. Let's skip number 2 and we'll do number 3. Negative 9y equals 6x minus 27. I did a step in my head right there. I hope you can figure that one out. I'm going to divide everything by 9. I'm going to divide everything by negative 9, actually. That becomes negative 6 over 9x plus 3. 27 divided by 9 is 3, yes. I'm going to reduce this, and I've got y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. So what is my slope? It's negative 2/3. I don't include the x part, and my b is 3. Alright, do I want to do that? No, I'm going to stop here and move, and we're going to go to the next part.